She took me promptly to Dean Clinic. The neurologist called me honey and dear, which I found comforting. She worked hard, poring over files, ordering tests, touching every inch of my left side, looking for a sensation, for a clue. After an EKG and a CAT scan, she performed a lumbar puncture. This is spinal tap, I thought, as she shoved a needle as thick as a rod between two vertebrae in my lower back while I was curled up in the fetal position. She tapped my spine like it was an old maple tree full of sap. The pressure from the rod was unspeakable. And as much as I thought I wasn't in my body at the time, I was. And my body had something very wrong with it. Honey, Dr. Dominski sighed heavily, it looks like you have multiple sclerosis. Your CAT scan shows a large patch on the right side of your brain called a plaque. Plaques are indicative of MS. I have many patients who do very well managing this disease. My own father has it. That's why I went into neurology. I couldn't hear her. The buzzing in my ears drowned out her speech. Plaque on my brain? Did it come from not flossing in some symbolic way? I thought of a t-shirt I once saw of a cartoon man holding a string that had been pulled through his ears, and the caption read, "Mental floss." We went from Dean Clinic to St. Mary's Hospital on a gray, looks-like-snow day, and I sobbed. It had finally hit me that my life had changed irrevocably for the worst. "We're here," my mom quietly announced while letting go of the clutch. The Chevette jerked and died. She'd never gotten that motion down. A nurse gripping a shiny silver wheelchair greeted me. We rode up an elevator, and I was wheeled down the hallway into a room and helped into a hospital gown and laid out on a bed where they prepared for me an around-the-clock IV of the steroid ACTH, the strongest potion they had back in the mid-'80s. Assessing symptoms and categorizing them are how diagnoses are made. Multiple sclerosis was a harsh sentence at 24. If I allowed it to sink in too deeply, it would destroy me. Fortunately, I'd pocketed a couple of pamphlets at the neurologist's office. Along with MS, I grabbed cerebral palsy and epilepsy just in case I needed a laugh, which is a really bad joke to say in a room of neurologists, so forgive me. In 2007, my first book, a memoir called Petal Pusher, was published. And at my annual physical, I gave my neurologist a copy of my book. Even though I wasn't thrilled at the prospect of sharing the tawdry details of my wild and crazy youth with him, I told him that I describe in great deal my experiences with MS. His response was to the effect that I was coming out of the closet and claiming this disease as part of my journey. I'm going to read some more. After a week of hospitalization, my visitors waned and got on with their lives while I dictated answers to my mom, who frantically filled out forms for Social Security, disability, unemployment, and handicap benefits. At the time, I was uninsured. My bills promised to be hilarious. I couldn't fill out the forms. I'm left-handed. "We have orders to take you up for a CAT scan. At 7 p.m. on a Monday, life in the dead quiet of St. Mary's got interesting. Upon reviewing an X-ray of my head, a bold, perhaps bored radiologist became concerned that I was harboring a sizable brain tumor, and I thought, please, oh please, let it be a brain tumor. After a flurry of excitement, the on-call neurologist visited my bedside. That large white plaque on your x-ray is something called an MS plaque, and not a brain tumor after all. Plaque again. My heart sank. I really wanted a brain tumor. You know you're in a bad place when you want a brain tumor. So, after hospitalization, I had to move back home, a place I hadn't lived in since I graduated from high school. At night, while my mom and sister slept, I lit fires in our orange chrome fireplace that rested in the middle of our family room. The steroids kept me vibrating and awake all night, and I read books with catchy titles that spoke to me in my predicament. Heal your own damn self. You're only as sick as you think. Chronic schmonic, the gift of disease. Of course, many of these books ended up on the fire that I kept burning all night. The fire had become a superstition. If it died, I wouldn't recover. If I kept it alive, I would survive. My prayers at that time sounded like sales pitches. If you allow me to get well, I will make you proud. I tried to view my illness as a gift. Thanks a lot, what I always wanted. Trying to utilize my incapacity as a second chance, as a chunk of time and space to find healing and clarity, because there was nothing else I could do. I thought, maybe my lame hand and foot were supposed to force me to realize that I had stunted my personal movement by my lack of goals. Maybe not. Maybe I was just dealt a really bad card. That happens to people. I somehow managed to realize that my life was too short and too unpredictable to spend it doing things that I didn't want to do.